Making a New Start. This section is entitled The Inertia of Ideas and the Tyranny of Language. Up to this point, the thrust of this essay has been destructive. I have taken pains to show that previous theories of creation are founded upon illusion and have become an obstacle to human understanding. I will now proceed to the constructive part of this essay. That is, to propose new foundations for a theory of creation. Before beginning, however, it is important to point out certain obstacles in the path. The ancient Hebrew cosmos was discarded before the time of Christ. Yet the biblical creation story that explains how that cosmos came into being goes on. The classical Greek cosmos is discarded, and the universe is no longer conceived as a work of architecture. Yet the title Architect of the Universe bestowed upon God, when the outer boundary of the universe was the solid sky, the vault of heaven, continues in use. The word cosmos continues in use as a synonym for the universe, even though the great vault that led the Greeks to associate these two ideas has been dissolved. Conclusions continue to live after their premises have perished. Words continue in use after what they were invented to signify has passed away. It is not surprising that confusion abounds when our language usage is populated with these logical ghosts. Clearing the slate. The first step in the search for understanding about creation is to recognize that previous theories of creation were rooted in the optical illusion of a solid sky. We must recognize that when this illusion was dispelled, all of the other assumptions of earlier creation theories that depended upon the solid sky also collapsed. These logical ghosts must be subjected to the light of analysis so that they can begin to enjoy a well-deserved rest. The illusion of a solid sky carried with it the assumption that the divine idea guiding the act of creation was an idea of the universe as a whole. Both the Hebrew and the Greek creation stories describe creation as an implementation of an idea of the universe, followed by the population of the earth at the center of the universe with living beings. The universe we accept today is not complete and perfect as the ancients who conceived the universe, cosmos, thought. Our universe is developmental. 90% of the known universe is hydrogen, a single proton and a single electron. 9% of the universe is helium, the simplest element after hydrogen. That leaves 1% for the rest of the elements. The atomic furnaces of the stars fuse hydrogen into helium and release energy as starlight. Later in their life cycles, stars fuse helium into carbon. The larger stars at the end of their lives explode, creating and scattering several of the other elements. We could not exist but for these processes. Yet, a developmental universe cannot be the terminus of creation. Scientists have done an excellent job describing the Big Bang and piecing together the processes by which the stars and planets have come into being. But no one has been able to compose a creation story that depicts God creating the universe we now accept. In spite of the opportunity opened by the liberation from the illusion of a solid sky, we have not been able to move forward with a new theory of creation. Work towards a new theory of creation has been on hold for nearly 300 years. The lingering assumption we continue to accept is that the divine idea guiding creation is an idea of the universe. Since we cannot conceive of the universe as a work of divine design, we feel cut off from that grasp of the divine idea that humans enjoyed before the dissolution of the solid sky. To be cut off from the divine idea is another way of describing the sense of drift so commonly expressed. To affirm God as the creator of the universe is not necessarily to accept the universe as the cosmos. The universe initially created is not something final and complete, as the ancients believed. It is something primitive, elemental, undeveloped, a pile of raw materials, not a finished work of architecture. Recall the image of the surprised builder who finds a crowd at the building site admiring the raw materials as though they were the finished product. Far from being composed of some unique element, more perfect than anything found on earth, the heavens, outer space, are made of simple stuff. If life exists elsewhere, it will likely be like ours, an island of developed complexity in a sea of simplicity. If we are ever to break out of the habits of thinking about creation established by the ancients, we must gain insight into our acceptance of the ancients' assumptions, implied by our use of the word cosmos as a synonym for the universe. Once freed from this association, the word cosmos must be freed from another linguistic usage. It must sound strange to hear a cosmos rather than the cosmos. Creation involves embodiment of the divine idea in matter. The ancient theories were all in agreement that the divine idea was embodied only once. Since we are making a new start, we must recognize that an idea may be embodied many times. We must limber up our concepts lest we prejudice the outcome by careless assumptions. Community as cosmos. The act of creation can be seen as a process of generating more complex elements in the furnaces of the stars and of evolving more complex and more conscious organisms, at least on our planet. Up to this point in its progression, creation has produced nothing as complex as the human brain, as far as we know. It is therefore not arbitrary to propose that human beings will be instrumental in the implementation of the divine idea that has guided the process of creation from the beginning. Plato noted a striking similarity between the two most important acts his powerful mind could conceive. The first was the act of the Creator creating the universe cosmos. The second was the act of humans creating the polis, or the community. Both acts were the embodiment of very special ideas. Plato assumed that the human act was of a far lower order than the divine act. We examined the reasons he had for subordinating the human act to his idea of the divine act. Plato accepted the sphere of the fixed stars as the principal structure of the universe cosmos. He assumed the vault of heaven was made of a perfect and eternal material. If Plato was alive today, he would have only one of these two acts to deal with: the human community. Thomas Jefferson, late in life, adopted the practice of concluding every speech and every letter with the precept, "Divide the counties into wards." By wards he meant townships. He admired the structure of the states of New England. He was haunted by the failure of the Revolution to create public space at the local level for citizen organization and civic deliberation. Central to the thinking of Martin Luther King was the concept of the beloved community. The concept can be traced through all his speeches and writings, from the earliest to the last. In one of his first published articles, he stated that the purpose of the Montgomery bus boycott is reconciliation, redemption, and the creation of the beloved community. In 1957, writing in the newsletter of the newly formed Southern Christian Leadership Conference, he describes the purpose and goal of that organization as follows: "The ultimate aim of the SCLC is to foster and create the beloved community." Finally, Michael Sandel, Harvard professor of ethics, said, "We don't need more ideas. We have many ideas. What we need is a bigger idea: community." For these reasons, it is not arbitrary to propose community as the candidate for the divine idea, as the candidate for cosmos. In the beginning, God conceived the idea of community and saw that it was good. This might be the beginning of a creation story that explains to us the universe we have come to know. This might be the beginning of a creation story that tells us who we are and what role we are called to play in the divine drama of creation. Could it be that God has taken as the divine project that which he or she cannot bring to completion without human collaboration? Could it be that while we had nothing to do with initiating this project, we have a central role in bringing the project to fulfillment? Could it be that while we have been waiting for God, God has been waiting for us? As the Hebrews and the Greeks saw the universe as a cosmos, we now have the opportunity to see our communities as cosmoses. Our efforts to make our communities the endpoints of creation can benefit from a theory of creation that recognizes these projects.